y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taya and this is Taya's Turning Pages. And now moving on to my highest rated books of the month. So I actually have 3 in this category, which I'm really happy about. And the first one I'm going to start off with is actually a nonfiction read, and it is Will by Will Smith. So before we get into this review, please do not leave your think pieces on what took place at the Oscars, because I really do not care. Everybody reacts to disrespect differently. And that's all I'm gonna say on that front. Moving on to Will by Will Smith. So this memoir is exactly what it is, a memoir, and it pretty much just outlines Will Smith's upbringing and his rise to fame and how he became the actor that we all know him as today. And like I mentioned, I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars because it was phenomenal. I loved everything about this, from the opening credits to the ending credits. I loved every single thing about this book. So I actually listened to this on Audible because I did get the audiobook for this. And I mentioned in one of my other videos that if there is a celebrity memoir that I want to read, and if I find out that they have an audiobook, I just tend to go that route because I really like to hear them narrate the story themselves. And I just feel like there's just certain things that you won't pick up on, like tone and just certain cues that you wouldn't pick up on if you read it physically versus listening to the audiobook. So that's what I decided to do, and I do not regret my decision at all. Will raps in this audiobook, he cracks jokes, he plays music, and it's just executed so well. And I just really liked the time and energy that you could tell he spent into narrating this memoir. It felt as though I was having an actual conversation with him and hearing him recount his life in Philly and then how he became the man who he became. And like I mentioned before, I am a Philly John through and through, and so this book just spoke to my soul, okay? There were so many different times where Will mentioned certain landmarks in certain areas that are in Philly that I've been to that I was just like, woo, I know where that is. And Will actually grew up in West Philly, so it was just fascinating to hear him talk about what Philly was like during that time period and how it was growing up in the environment that he grew up in. I'm not going to get into the full details, of course, of the memoir because you should just pick it up if you're interested, but I will say that Will definitely had a very rough and tumultuous childhood at certain points. There are themes of domestic violence as well as alcohol addiction, so just keep that in mind because Will does talk about that in depth, and that was something that he was exposed to when he was growing up, so just keep that in mind. But all in all, I enjoy this memoir so much. I just loved how authentic and raw and real it felt, and Will definitely embodies that age-old saying of you can take the person out of Philly but you can't take Philly out of the person. Like, that is truly him to a T. Can't say enough great things about the memoir. Definitely pick it up if you're interested, and also make sure y'all stream Bel Air. I'm gonna keep saying it until I go blue in the face because I need this show in my faves to sweep at the Emmys. So make sure you guys tune into Bel Air if you haven't already. I think this last episode that just came out on Thursday was the season 1 finale, but they have been renewed for a season 2. So I'm really happy about that. And the second to last book that I have in this highest rated category is Tokyo Ever After by Miko Jean. So this actually follows a young teenage girl named Izumi, and Izumi is in her senior year of high school, but Izumi is pretty much your average ordinary girl living in California with her mother and just, you know, going through the trials and tribulations of being a teenage girl. So Izumi's father is unfortunately not in her life, and Izumi never really talks to her mother about it because Izumi can tell that it is a sensitive subject and topic for her mom, so she does not talk to her about it. But Izumi has always wondered what happened to her father. Is he alive? Where is he? Why he is not in her life, etc. So Izumi does voice this concern to her best friends. Her best friend Nora actually takes it upon herself to do some research to try to see if she could find Izumi's father, and Nora does find Izumi's father, and she finds out that Izumi's father is the crown prince of Japan. So she tells Izumi this, and Izumi of course is shocked and cannot believe it, and so she confronts her mother about it and tells her mother that she does have plans on trying to locate her father and trying to see if he is willing to, you know, be a part of Izumi's life now that she knows about him. So Izumi does figure out a way to contact her father, and her father ends up getting Izumi's message and invites Izumi to come live with him in Japan for, I want to say, about 2 weeks, so that way she can meet him, form a relationship with him, and get a lay of the land when it comes to Japan, and also really understand her royal duties as a member of the imperial palace, essentially. So when Izumi does arrive in Japan, she is assigned this bodyguard named Akio, and of course sparks start to fly between her and Akio, and the story takes off from there. So I'm not going to get into my thoughts about this book because I did actually film a reading vlog documenting my entire experience reading this, and so definitely stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if this video is going to go up before the reading vlog, but just make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and turn on my post notifications so that way you'll be one of the first to know when this video goes live. But just know that I love this book, easy 5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait for the sequel that comes out in May. And the last book that I have in this category is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Guys, I finally read the Song of Achilles and I understand the hype. I get it. I see clearly now. I totally understand why people love this book and praise this book and why this book won the Women's Prize, because talk about a beautifully tragic love story. I'm sure you guys probably know what this book is about, but I will try to give a brief synopsis for the ones that don't. So this is a Greek mythology retelling, and this is actually a Greek mythology retelling of Achilles. And so this story follows two characters, Patroclus, I got his name right. So this story actually follows two characters, Patroclus and Achilles. Starting with Patroclus, Patroclus is a very broody and sullen and just like grumpy character. He does kind of walk through the world with a chip on his shoulder, but it makes sense as to why he does that, because he has been through a lot in his young life. Especially when he was a child, he has just been through a lot in terms of abandonment issues, parental issues, etc, etc. And on the flip side of that, you have Achilles. Achilles is truly the opposite of Patroclus. He is considered the golden boy. He is very sunshiny, very happy, very charismatic, and very charming. And you can tell a lot of people really look up to and love Achilles. But there are events that take place that lead to Patroclus and Achilles being thrown together and pretty much being each other's confidant and forming a very fascinating and deep bond with one another, to the point where they do become inseparable. Achilles actually does appoint Patroclus to be his right-hand man, essentially. But yeah, they do become inseparable, and then they do end up falling in love, and the story takes off from there. As you guys can tell, I did rate this a 5 out of 5 stars because I thought this book, like I mentioned already, was beautifully tragic. Madeline Miller's prose and writing style is intoxicating. I have never been more blown away by the writing of a book as much as I have with this one. I was just as interested in the story and the plot as I was in the writing, and seeing what wordplay and language that Madeline Miller was going to use next to describe Achilles and Patroclus, or describing their relationship, describing the impending war, etc. I was truly blown away by her writing style, and I definitely see why people praise her, because wow. And I've never explicitly stated this in any of my videos, but I am a huge fan of the star-crossed lovers trope. Titanic is one of my favorite movies of all time. You Reach Sam, which is back here, is one of my favorite books of all time. And so I'm not surprised that the Song of Achilles also falls into that category of one of my favorite books and one of my favorite examples of a true star-crossed lovers trope. Because this is a Greek mythology retelling, you can already tell that there is going to be a certain plot point where it involves the prophecy and fate and destiny and all of that. So because of that, you automatically know that there is no God-given way that Patroclus and Achilles can have a happy ending. And I know star-crossed lovers is tragic, it is so sad, it is so depressing, but I also think it is absolutely beautiful because the stakes are so high, and because two characters know for a fact that they can never be together in any capacity. I feel like that makes their connection and their love so much more passionate, so much more deep, and so much more meaningful. And like I said, it just adds so much more depth, I feel like, to them individually but also collectively. And to me, that is art. That is art, okay? Titanic was art, You Reach Sam was art, and the Song of Achilles was art. Beautifully tragic. Period. I did not cry when I read it. I did choke up and maybe tear up just a little bit, and I feel like that's because since I am a big fan of the star-crossed lovers trope, I already know kind of what's coming and I know what to expect. But like I said, I did choke up and I did tear up just a little bit, but I didn't full-blown sob like I did when I read You Reach Sam. But this book did make me feel all of the feels, and I did have so many different emotions when I read this book, and I still think, and I keep thinking about the story. I finished this book about 2 weeks ago, and my mind just keeps wandering and drifting back to these two characters because I loved them so much, and I'm so sad it's over, but I definitely do plan on rereading this at some point in the future. And because I really enjoyed this book and I enjoy Madeline Miller's beautiful writing style, I will be picking up Circe because I read the synopsis for that, and ooh, that sounds like that's going to be right up my alley, okay? It is a feminist take, so y'all already know I'm here for it, and I cannot wait to read that book at some point. And I think Madeline Miller is coming out with another book that focuses on Persephone, so I will be picking that one up too, okay? Like, I'm a Madeline Miller fan now, so yeah, that's just what it is. I cannot say enough great things about this book. If you still, for some reason, have not picked up this book, please do so. I'm not like the biggest fan of Greek mythology, and I have not read that many Greek mythology books. I'm not well versed in Greek mythology, but I was able to follow along this story very, very well. Yes, there are a lot of gods. Yes, there are a lot of characters that are thrown into this story, but again, I was able to keep up pretty well to the point where I never even had to really even research or look up any of the characters. Now, I did look them up afterwards just to see, like, okay, just so that way I could put like a face to the name, but I did not find myself wanting to reach for my phone and look up who this character was and who this character was. But that's just me. I know some people really like to do that as they follow along the story, but I just didn't have time for that, and I didn't want to do that. And again, I was able to keep up with who was who, and I feel like Madeline Miller did a good job at giving a brief description of who was who when they were first introduced into the story, in my opinion. So yeah, all in all, definitely recommend. I love this story, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did order the 10th anniversary edition of this book because it is stunning. and I love this book. And I'm going to keep this copy because I love the cover art to this book, but I needed the special edition because I do collect special editions of my favorite books if there is a special edition. And when I saw it, I was like, well, it's beautiful, I need it on my bookshelf. So it is on its way to me and I cannot wait to get it. All right, y'all, and those are all of the books that I read for March. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me my channel out. And lastly, please make sure you follow me on Bookstagram as well as Storygraph. I leave that information linked down below, as well as at the end of the video, like I always do. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!